question for you today is what advice do you have for the deal events, in particularly during the shopping season?
Yeah, sure, Megan. So regarding the deal events, it's most important to separate those deal campaigns, to really push them harder than the rest of your campaigns. For example, your always on campaign, so that you can go in with high bids in this very attractive season of the year. Second is keep in mind that especially on the first day of deal events, you have very high competition. So you have to be pretty aggressive in your bidding in order to get enough reach. As you have higher conversion rates on this first day, it's normally worth it to go in higher and bid aggressively. Furthermore, what you should consider is the creatives, the ad copies, for example. So update your claims for sponsored brands and for sponsored display as far as you can, and adapt them to the attractive deals you offer to shoppers. And you can also take advantage of the linking option from sponsored brands placements. So you can link, for example, to your deal pages in your store and give people a broader selection of your attractive deals that you have running on those days.
Sure, Tim. Thank you. Some really, really great advice there for our advertisers if we head into Q4. I'm also wondering, we have a few more questions here. A popular one is, how can you push selected ASINs, and then in brackets like top selling ASINs, further during the shopping season?
Yeah, especially those top seller ASINs want to be pushed on those event days. So knowing your search term impression share gives you an idea how much more potential is there. So if there's room to grow, so we have rather low share on important generic keywords, for example, so especially generic keywords where you can get a reach out to new to brand customers or people that haven't decided yet on a specific brand or product, and they bear high potential. And therefore, if you know your share, you know there is more room to grow, and you can push the bids for your top seller ASINs and to push them further ahead. And second is what I mentioned during the talk with you, Megan, is that setting up those focus campaigns makes it easier to push these top-selling ASINs separately on top of those always-on campaigns that are running anyway. And you should definitely leverage the top of search modifier, because this placement and on the top of the search results has very good conversion rates, not only visibility that you get, but also good conversion rates. And therefore, if you don't use this top of search modifier, you risk to just not being shown there as your competitors take over this position.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Tim. We do have a few questions here around what is a granular campaign. This is quite a popular question today from advertisers on the line. So if you could explain that for us in a bit of detail.
Yeah, sure. So basically you can understand, again, granularity on different levels. So one is, for example, regarding the targeting, and the other level is regarding your product separation. What we very often see in advertising accounts is that people set up automatic campaigns and manual campaigns. But in those manual campaigns, everything is mixed up. So it's brand keywords, it's product targeting, it's generic keywords. So you can't really separate the bidding among those different targeting options. So that's why targeting wise, you should separate, for example, in brand campaigns, in competitive campaigns, and in generic keyword campaigns. And you can go even deeper. For example, split up generic keywords in broad generic keywords or very specific generic keywords. So adjust your bids according to the specificness of those search terms, because it's very close related to the conversion rate at the end, and therefore has an impact on the return on advertising spend or your advertising cost of sale. And you can do the same looking at your product. So we often see that people combine ads for products and put them into one campaign, although those products come from different categories or subcategories. So you should split it up, because you very often have different margin on your products, and you have different sales prices of those products, and then you can have a more precise bidding if you split those dimensions into separate campaigns.
Sure, thank you, Tim. That's also an Amazon's ad best practice, so a really great piece of advice there as well. I was wondering if you could as well share any insights to any pitfalls that advertisers should avoid.
Yeah, so one of the important ones up front that you have to make up your mind of is defining this budget that you're willing to pay throughout the deal events in the season. That's what I mentioned in our talk at the beginning, because if you don't define this budget, you risk to run out of budget throughout the season, or you invest too high because you're driven by the buzz around you on those peak event days. And that's why make up your mind up front, then you're well prepared for the season. What's also a good hint is if things go crazy, if bids go really high and you see, okay, your budget is exhausted much faster than you expected, if you had something like a reset button and say, okay, guys, I want to go back and have everything as I had before, the little hint here is just save all your bids, for example, a week before all the event campaign start, and then use bulk uploads to re-upload your status before the peak events. And then you're good to go from where you started before everything got more dynamic over the season. What's else something to consider also was mentioned during the talk. So lead up phase and lead out phase are important, but keep in mind conversion rates are climbing over this lead up phase. So it's not that high in the beginning. So hold your fire there, don't spend too much. And regarding the campaign setup, make sure all those campaigns with deal communication, where you have specifically focused on your deal ASINs, for example, that those have an end date. Otherwise, they keep on running, and this will impact, of course, the performance of your overall media investment. And the last two pitfalls are not directly advertising, but retail related. So make sure all your products are retail ready that you promote. Otherwise, your media investment will go to the wrong direction. You will have lower conversion rates. You will have lower click-through rates if your titles are not in shape, for example, or your product images. So make sure everything is tailored to the highest possible conversion rate. So having a high trust level on your product detail pages, so that the media traffic that you drive to them can convert. And last but not least, we are living in very uncertain times currently. So we have problems with supply changes. We have problems with logistics in general. So make sure you have enough stock of the ASINs you are running the deal for. And if you see, okay, your stock is going down quickly, adjust your bidding accordingly, because otherwise you spend money on products that will be sold off anyway. So you don't have to push them as hard as you started in the beginning of the season.
Thanks again, Tim. Some pitfalls there to be mindful of going forward so that we can then be aware of them and definitely avoid them. In our final few minutes for the Q&A, I'm going to select another really popular question from the list, one that I've seen coming through quite a lot. And that is, can you please explain in more detail the Amazon Marketing Cloud to everyone on the line today?
Yeah, sure. So the Amazon Marketing Cloud is a new product that Amazon started about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And it's a so-called data clean room. What does this mean? A data clean room, it means that all your all your campaign data is imported as raw data into a data bucket, you can call it like that. And Amazon does not have access to the particular data here, and you can play with this raw data in any dimension. For example, you can not only take the reports from your campaigns, because those reports of your campaigns are kind of pre-compiled, so they show you specific KPIs for a campaign. In the Amazon Marketing Cloud, it's different. It's not the campaign that matters. It's the touch points users have with your media actions. So you can combine those touch points across several campaigns, across several advertising channels. So whether DSP or sponsor products, and in the future, even more like sponsor display. And currently, Amazon has started to also incorporate or include retail data. And what you can do with this data is you can basically run any analysis you have in mind. You can analyze how many touch points do people have across several advertising channels until they convert. Does it make sense to invest into upper funnel media, like in managed service campaigns or in DSP campaigns focusing at the upper funnel, because you have higher conversion rates in the end? And by doing this, you get much deeper insights into your media investments and therefore take out risk of your media investments. And yeah, just as a reminder, if you're interested in running a first analysis to get a better understanding of the Amazon Marketing Cloud, reach out to us there through the link or the QR code in the presentation.
Thanks so much for that, Tim, and for being with us today. I really appreciate all of your experience shared and really valuable insights. I would just like to echo what Tim said. Please do access Think3's QR code. You can find it in the handout section of the Bizzabo tool, and you can use that to avail of the services and get in touch with the company. I would like to remind everyone that after this session ends, to join the next, simply navigate back into the agenda screen and click on the selected session. I will see you there in a few moments. Thank you, everyone.